I picked up a blind girl off the street and ended up marrying her. She had a habit of nibbling my ear at night, and she would secretly place her hands on my face, saying she wanted to feel what I looked like. It wasn't until she regained her sight that I discovered she was none other than Miss Evelyn Sterling, from the wealthy Sterling family, and already had a fiancé. I knew I wasn't worthy of her. So, taking advantage of the fact that she hadn't seen my face, I left a simple note of goodbye and bought a plane ticket to disappear overseas. 5 years later, I heard Evelyn was getting married. I finally dared to return, but the moment my plane landed at JFK, the airport was surrounded by black-suited security guards. In a blink, I was being led by a manager to the door of a private room. I froze, unable to bring myself to go inside because Miss Sterling was sitting within. Through a crack in the door, I overheard someone saying, "Miss Sterling, I heard you were missing for a while years ago and even lost your sight. It must have been rough for you." Evelyn chuckled softly, "Not at all. Someone took very good care of me. It was even more comfortable than now." "Must have been your fiancé then, what a tale of love and adversity." "No," Evelyn interrupted, her voice clear and cold. "He's here." Startled, I looked up, but through the crack, I saw Evelyn point to a plot of land. "Buried here. He's been dead for 5 years. The goodbye note has my own signature of confirmation on it, just to be sure it would be taken care of." The manager beside me, also eavesdropping, whispered, "That guy was so unlucky. If he hadn't died, he might have been successful by now." I gave a faint smile. "Impossible." The manager disagreed. "There must be a reason why Miss Sterling agreed to take care of someone so thoroughly. He must have had extraordinary skills, a real charmer." I bowed my head, hiding the confusion in my eyes. Sometimes, I wasn't sure who had seduced whom first. That night, when she fell against me, accidentally touching things she shouldn't have, her neck and collarbone flushed red. Seeing her so flustered and stiff, I thought she was about to die. I panicked and tried to give her CPR, but she wrapped her arms around me, stopping my lips with hers. Lost in memories, I was jolted back to the present as a waiter pushed a card into me. I instinctively cried out, and the door to the private room was pushed open. Evelyn suddenly looked up and met my gaze. In that moment, the blood in my veins seemed to freeze. I couldn't even turn away. But only for a few seconds. Thanks to 5 years of social conditioning, I managed a fake smile. It was funny, really. Even though Evelyn and I had shared a bed for 2 years, even though her slender fingers had caressed my face and body more times than my own, to her, I was just a dead man whose face she had never seen. So what if we slept together? How could someone who had never seen my face recognize me? As I expected, Evelyn didn't recognize me. As our glasses clinked, her eyes sparkled but then fell on me coldly, sending a shiver down my spine. It was like the first time I met her. It was a stormy night, thunder and lightning. I had just lost my mother in the hospital forever. On the way home in tears, I stumbled into a small alley. Evelyn, soaked to the bone, was leaning against the wall, barely alive. Under the dim streetlight, her face was bruised but breathtakingly beautiful. Her large, almond-shaped eyes were bloodshot, but they emanated wariness and coldness. Terrified, I wanted to run. But I thought of my mother. If someone could save her. In the end, I carried Evelyn back to my cheap rented apartment, using all my savings to save her. Back then, I was uneducated and poor, so I didn't realize how expensive her clothes were. I mistakenly thought she was homeless like me. I even thought she was my mother's spirit in heaven, feeling sorry for me and afraid I was lonely, letting me meet her. I thought I had family again, someone to care for. Suddenly, the manager squeezed my wrist. "What are you thinking about? You're still smiling." I snapped back to reality, my smile turning stiff. Seeing my reaction, the manager suddenly said, "Finn, you don't like Evelyn Sterling, do you? Let me tell you, she's known for not being close to men. Those who try to approach her always end up in terrible situations. I heard her fiancé is a childhood friend, the scion of a prominent New York family. They're deeply in love. Don't let her enchant you. A woman like that is not someone you can reach. One mistake and you'll be in trouble. That crime has already been committed. When I decided to leave Evelyn, I said to her cruelly, for the past 2 years, I've only been taking care of you because I was lonely. Now, a rich woman wants to take care of me. I don't need you anymore. Evelyn's face flushed red, and she cried, Finn, don't let me catch you. I'll make you regret it. For a pampered young lady like her, even when blind, she had never been so humiliated. To her, I had committed an unforgivable sin. Fortunately, I was dead. I had to thank her fiancé for this. Anyway, after drinking tonight, Evelyn and I would never meet again. Thinking this, I wandered out to the hotel's flower garden. Looking up, I saw a slender figure standing there, white and delicate fingers. It was Evelyn. She turned to look at me. Just as I was wondering how to react, she suddenly shouted, Revenge! Startled, I nearly revealed my identity. Luckily, a small dog suddenly ran up from behind, nudging my leg. It was the mutt I used to own. Because of my fear of commitment, I had never named it. I never imagined Evelyn had adopted it and even named it Revenge. Revenge? It was the revenge of a fake dead man like me. I couldn't help but shudder. If she knew I wasn't dead and had lied to her, the consequences were unimaginable. Resurrection was no laughing matter. Evelyn stood up, smiling and waving to the dog. But the dog, not having seen me in so long, jumped and wagged wildly around my feet. It seemed my dog liked her very much. Evelyn's gaze lingered on my face, calm but searching. I pretended to be calm, even thanking the dog for distracting Evelyn to hide my nervousness. Sorry, I must smell like meat. I got some steak sauce on myself earlier. I should get going, Miss Sterling. But before I could leave, Evelyn suddenly spoke. Dogs are really happy. I stopped. What did she mean by dogs? As long as they're obedient, their owners will reward them. Isn't it good to be a good dog? In the past, when our feelings were deep, Evelyn would lie on me and nibble my ear, and coquettishly say, I am Finn's good dog. My heart leaped into my throat, gripping my hands tightly. Sorry, Miss Sterling. I'm a human, I don't understand much about dogs. My absurd words silenced the atmosphere. I wanted to find an excuse to leave. Suddenly, Evelyn asked, if you had a good dog, would you abandon it? I wouldn't keep a dog. Why? Because I can't shoulder that responsibility. I lost what I lost. I lost Evelyn and also my dog. I would not give myself another point of weakness. I have to go and toast some other people. Excuse me, Miss Sterling. I turned to leave, but the dog darted toward me. My steps faltered, afraid of stepping on it. I stumbled forward, and a pair of slender arms caught me from behind, just like in the old days. Are you all right? Is something wrong? My back pressed against her soft chest, and her gentle, anxious voice echoed in my ear. Just like the 2 years we lived together, she took care of me and cared for me, so I thought we could love each other until we grew old. Evelyn, why have you been in the garden for so long? Suddenly, a refined male voice rang out behind us. I didn't need to turn around to know whose voice it was, Mr. Richard Davenport, Evelyn's childhood friend and fiancé. The voice that shattered a beautiful dream is always clear in one's head. For me, Mr. Davenport was like that. I remembered Mr. Davenport wearing expensive Italian shoes standing in my cheap rented house, saying these words, Evelyn has been living in this slum for 2 years for our future, but she is so patient. I was not a weak person originally, but looking at Mr. Davenport's dignified appearance, he could not even say a word of rebuttal. For the first time I shed tears of shame because of poverty, but fortunately, it was no longer now, because my soul was no longer poor and difficult. I quickly pushed Evelyn away, and Miss Sterling stood still. Mr. Davenport came from behind. When he saw my face, his pupils were slightly shaken for a moment, but only for a few seconds did he return to normal. It seemed his acting skills were better than mine. Mr. Davenport smiled and asked me, Hello, Are you the new singer who signed with Miss Tyler's company? Yes. Well, why did you hug Evelyn just now? Mr. Davenport looked at Evelyn teasingly. Aren't you afraid that I, her fiancé, will be jealous? Fiancé. Evelyn's long eyelashes trembled slightly as she repeated the 3 words he had just said, but those beautiful eyes stared at me with magma boiling in her eyes. I was startled by the dog just now and thanked Miss Sterling for supporting me. If you are busy, goodbye, I said without changing my face and left. Evelyn put on high heels and blocked my way. I took out a wedding invitation from her bag and gave it to me. My wedding is in a month. You have to come. Her voice was clear and affirmative. Mr. Davenport smiled and said, Evelyn, you are also true. The wedding invitation has not been sent yet. Before the wedding, how would other people be able to see the name of the bride and groom? I wasn't interested in hearing them flirt, politely took the invitation and left. On the way back to the room, I tore the invitation and threw it in the trash, but didn't notice that a corner of the invitation had been torn off, revealing a small original character. I thought my meeting with Evelyn was just a coincidence, so I didn't care and focused on my career. Until the manager told me that a great director wanted me to sing their movie soundtrack, which was considered a blessing from heaven given my current status. It wasn't until I arrived at the scene and saw Evelyn that I realized it wasn't luck at all, but that Evelyn had assigned me. The nimble manager enthusiastically greeted everyone, and when she arrived in front of Evelyn, she took the initiative to say, Mr. Finn, long time no see. The manager hurriedly laughed, Miss Tyler, his family name is Finn, not sure. My heart was beating faster. After faking my death that year, I cancelled my household registration and went far away to change my name to my mother's name, but I couldn't bear to change the character Finn because my mother gave it to me. After all, it wasn't a rare character. Evelyn stared at me indifferently. Perhaps I remembered it wrong. I have an acquaintance who also has the name Finn, but his family name is Sure. I would say too much mistakes, so I had to remain silent, pretending to be embarrassed. The manager saw that I didn't speak and secretly glared at me. I pretended not to see. The staff had not delivered the meal yet. My salad with fruit had mangoes. I am allergic to mangoes. Evelyn knew this clearly, but if I refused her now, she would definitely be more suspicious. My allergic reaction was not too serious, only a few red bumps would appear, and a dose of loratadine would be fine. Compared with the trouble of being exposed, this was nothing. I opened the salad box in front of Evelyn and just poked a piece of mango and was about to put it in my mouth. Evelyn suddenly raised her hand and snatched my fork. Her gestures were arrogant like a young lady, as if she was angry about something. The mango fell on the plate. My manager was stunned. Miss Tyler. Evelyn took the salad plate in front of me. I heard her instructing the assistant as she walked, I'll eat this portion, change his portion for rice and hot food. The assistant quickly brought me 8 dishes and a soup from the Happy Cloud restaurant. The price here must be at least a few $100s. The manager rolled her eyes and secretly asked me, Finn, you didn't secretly flirt with Miss Tyler, did you? Have you already conquered her? Sister Tyler, didn't you say she wouldn't get close to men? But the way she looks at you, it feels like she only cares about you. The room is so big, yet she only sees you. The hand holding my chopsticks tightened. Only cares about me? It seems that the matter of me being cheated at the beginning was not so laughable. Even the experienced Sister Tyler was deceived. At first, when I brought Evelyn home, she was blind and covered with injuries. I was so poor that all my clothes had to be patched. I once thought of taking her to a rescue station, but Evelyn seemed to have guessed my intentions. When I stood up and opened the door, she grabbed the hem of my shirt with her injured hand. Don't send me away. She looked straight at me, those blind eyes but brilliant and charming like the sun, which could easily make people infatuated. I immediately softened. I asked her where her parents and relatives were. She said she didn't know anything. She lowered her head, her skinny face still with unhealed wounds, like an ownerless puppy. I thought she must have been accidentally abandoned by someone, so she didn't remember anything. I started doing 3 jobs a day to earn money to treat her injuries. Every night when I came back from work, Evelyn would hug me and warm my hands and feet. "Finn, you've worked hard. When my eyes get better, I'll give you the richest life, the best environment so that you don't have to work so hard. And the best love, which will make you happy for life. Sorry, Finn, I'm making you so tired, and wait for me a little longer. I will give all I can." Her hands and feet were very warm, and the warmth spread throughout my body, straight to my heart. I felt so soft and sweet and didn't realize why she could be so sure and say it so easily, and the flash of shame and suppression in her eyes. How could I blame her that she was a man and of course had to go to earn money to support the family? That is the life that I was not able to give her yet. Hey, I thought, when we save enough money, we'll go to Hang City for an eye exam. I heard there's the best eye hospital there. I have to cure you no matter what, so you can see the world with me. If we have the opportunity, we'll have children. If we don't, so be it. Anyway, we are the most loving children. I could see it clear as day that if we did get children, it would be more than love, the love and guidance that I missed out on as a child, and would be willing to pass it on. Also, I will buy a house to call ours in the future so you can live more comfortably, not as small as this and not being flooded and power outage. Oh God, don't let it happen, I can't handle the horror. Every time I babbled these things, Evelyn would hug me tightly, look up, and kiss me constantly. Then she laid on my body, chiding me. "Finn, your mouth can only be used to kiss me, can't say anything else?" Now that I think about it, Evelyn probably didn't want to hear me speak. After all, my beautiful dreams were just an ordinary person's life to her, while she was a young lady born in a royal city with a golden spoon. The luxurious life in her eyes was completely different from what was in my eyes. In this cheap rented house, we were 2 lonely souls relying on each other for warmth. But outside the rented house, we were 2 different people, as different as heaven and earth. During the recording break, Richard Davenport, the prince out from back in New York, Evelyn's childhood sweetheart, attracted everyone's attention. Richard distributed snacks and finally gave homemade hazelnut cake to Evelyn. "Why are you free to come and listen to the recording of the theme song today?" Seeing you listening so attentively. Evelyn didn't take it, her voice dull. "Because I have to meet someone very important." Everyone immediately burst into an uproar, teasing. Richard also smiled dotingly. Someone boldly asked, "Miss Tyler, your wedding with General Richard is next month, right?" Evelyn's voice changed from a dull tone to a serious one. "Yes, I will at the wedding month. I would like to express my love for the person I love." I didn't listen further and turned to the balcony to get some air. The 8-dish-and-1 soup lunch made me full and my head was dizzy with starch. After getting some air, I was about to go downstairs when I heard a conversation from the side door. "Evelyn, that Finn's voice sounds like him." It was Richard talking. "Well, but he's been dead for 5 years. Didn't you tell me to give him money to comfort him back then? You just gave him a little more and he took the money and left. Just because he's so organized doesn't mean he loves you that much. He clearly likes money more." In reality, Richard misunderstood. Back then, I wasn't sophisticated enough to know that money was more important than women. The reason I took the money so readily was twofold. First, I had never been humiliated by Richard to the point of being completely dejected. Second, a half-month before Richard came, I happened to see him meeting Evelyn. That day, the store owner had to close shop for personal reasons. I got home early only to see the woman, who was supposed to be blind, standing in the courtyard eating ice cream, embracing a handsome man. Her open eyes shone with allure as she looked around, but her gaze was sharp, there was no sign of blindness. The blind one was truly me. At that time, I was laughably timid and insecure. Seeing that scene, my heart ached so badly that I sat crying in a street corner for a long time. But when I got home, I still pretended nothing had happened. I didn't even dare to ask her. I was afraid of knowing the truth, I was afraid Evelyn would leave, and I would be alone again. It was just that later, Richard brought money to show me intimate photos of him with Evelyn. A simple man like me completely lost it. I cooperated with Richard's fake death plan, took the money, and disappeared. Now, looking back, the only regret is that I took too little money back then. A week after taking the photos and not any incident happened, I thought Evelyn might have been persuaded by Richard and wouldn't look for me to probe. Tonight, I was packing my bags to leave New York when my manager, Tanya, was scrolling through social media next to me. "Hey, I heard the Miss Evelyn's dog is lost. They've been looking for days without any luck. When I left the city to fake my death, I couldn't take it with me, so I sent it to the barbecue chicken restaurant in the alley, thinking it could get some scraps there. Miss Evelyn even bought a new dog. She probably won't look for the old one anymore." Tanya's words made me even more worried. I put on a face that this Evelyn, such a heartless woman, would not look for any longer. I drove overnight in the rain to the old rental house. Sure enough, the door was open. I hurriedly folded my umbrella and ran in. "Revenge! I knew you were here." Clang! The light flicked on. There was no dog there, but a slender figure unsuited to the scene was sitting at the old wooden table. In her hand, she was holding a woman's cigarette. Looking up at me, her eyes were even redder than the cigarette butt. "Finn, you're back," it was Evelyn. I saw my dog chained by her feet on the ground. I knew I had fallen into a trap, but I still wanted to struggle. "Miss, what did you call me?" Evelyn stared at me intently, not blinking. "That day, revenge was so attached to you, it had never taken the initiative to approach others. The wedding invitation I gave you, you tore it up and threw it in the trash. If you really didn't know me, you wouldn't have needed to do that. Going to the wedding would have been beneficial for accumulating connections for you. I had people find you to record the show song. I've know it was you after I heard you saying. That sight of you acting hesitant to eat a mango, yet deliberately eating it for me. Out of the 8 dishes, you didn't eat coriander. With my identity so thoroughly exposed, I didn't need to pretend anymore. That's right, I'm Finn. So what is it that Miss is looking for me for?" Evelyn walked closer to me in her high heels, her whole body overflowing with anger. I thought she would angrily slap me a few times. But when Evelyn came in front of me, she reached out and placed her hand on my face. Her soft fingertips caressed me very gently. "So you look exactly like I imagined. Over the years, I've redrawn your face in my mind thousands and thousands of times. Looking at you closely, you're the most handsome man I've ever met." I didn't avoid it, calmly saying, "Is Miss pleased?" Evelyn's hand paused. "Finn," she whispered my name. "You're a noble young lady who has now returned to the peak of power. Wealth and fortune are all within your grasp. Now you're starting to recall the hardships, remembering our old love game in the slum, huh? If you really want to play, that's fine. You pay. I'll play with you." I looked straight at her. Perhaps my serious expression angered Evelyn. She stared at me, gritting her teeth. "You only care about money. For money, you can even abandon your name and home, can't you?" "That's right. Not only that, but that year, after taking 3 million, I also had to fake my death, cancel my household registration, and run away. Now that I think about it, I was really stupid back then. I saved your life, taking 30 million wouldn't have been too much." Evelyn suddenly hugged me, rose on tiptoe, and covered my mouth. One hand tore the upper back of her elegant long dress, tightly tying my 2 hands together. Her red lips also gradually moved down to my collarbone. I didn't avoid it. So be it, I won't avoid it anymore. You want to do it? Fine, what am I afraid of? Anyway, even when you were blind, I've slept with you before. Now that you're a noble young lady, me sleeping with you wouldn't that a worth, huh? Evelyn was angered by my teasing. Her 2 hands pushed my chest, intending to press me down on the old $100 bed. Then, she suddenly thought of something, again pulling my hand and walking outside. I was led by Evelyn to a villa. She pulled me out of the car. When entering the villa, she sat down to change into warm slippers for me. Immediately after, she stood up again, wrapped her arms around my neck, forced me to lower my head, and kissed me fiercely. Taking advantage of the moment she bit my neck, I deliberately teased her. Why not do it in the cheap rental house, miss? Isn't that place too dirty to be worthy of you anymore? Evelyn's red lips paused. You have rhinitis. The blankets and bedding there haven't been changed in a long time and are full of dust. I was stunned for a moment, but in a few seconds, I returned to normal. I was no longer the naive fool of the past who would cry and be moved with the least bit of warmth. Because when the soul is no longer poor, they will see those touches of warmth that I could provide to myself. Thinking this, I sneezed, and my snot uncontrollably dripped onto the back of Evelyn's hand. But she didn't seem disgusted at all, immediately standing up, taking a tissue, and wiping it for me. She took a nasal spray from the refrigerator and made a cup of hot red date tea, preparing it so thoughtfully. It seemed there was a man living here together. I forced a smile. Miss is really considerate. Do you also take care of young Master Richard like this? Why should I take care of him? What relationship do I have with him? You're getting married soon, but you don't have a relationship? The NYC elite, you guys really play it well. I'm not going to marry him. The so-called engagement of ours is just something the elders said when we were little. The wedding invitations have already been sent. To say these words now, Evelyn, do you even have a sentence that's true? Evelyn looked up at me, her eyes revealing tension. Finn, if I said I wanted to marry you. Impossible. I interrupted her. Evelyn, do you think that after all this, I would still marry you? Evelyn's red lips trembled. You don't believe anything I say anymore, do you? That's right. Ever since I knew you were pretending to have amnesia to trick me, Evelyn, I don't want to believe you anymore. We've long been strangers. You go on your path of wealth and I'll be my ordinary self. We won't have any intersection. I still calmly smiled and spoke to her. Evelyn didn't say anything. The arrogant and domineering air from when she kissed me earlier disappeared in an instant. It was strange. Her long black hair was let down, and her beautiful, delicate eyes also became gentle, kneeling halfway in front of me. Her slender hand held the tissue that I had just used to wipe my nose with. Soft, white, trembling slightly, that was also the appearance of that spoiled puppy. I ignored it for a moment. After that, Evelyn opened her mouth in a hoarse voice. Finn, then will you come to my wedding? No. I refused without thinking. I hope you will come to my wedding. I'll give you the yearly contract for Luotian, okay Finn, her hoarse voice seemed to carry a bit of pleading. I was too lazy to care and immediately agreed. Okay. Luotian is the top record company in the entertainment industry. This rare opportunity, which happens once in 100 years, cannot be grabbed by newcomers, and she offers. Is it a deal then? Finn, you must come. Evelyn drove me back to the apartment. Before leaving, she emphasized that I must come to the wedding. I didn't understand what strange fetish this young lady had, liking to have her ex-boyfriend attend her wedding. If I couldn't think it through, then I was too lazy to think about it. When I got to the apartment, I discovered there was someone I didn't want to meet at the door, Richard. He looked at me coldly. Mr. Finn, I didn't expect you to dare to come back. Do you think that by tempting Evelyn and having her recognize you, I would be helpless against you? In reality, from Evelyn's performance tonight, I had already guessed the entire story. It was Richard who had tricked her, so Evelyn thought that I had abandoned her because I wanted to take more money. But if there was no trust, then you couldn't blame anyone. I smiled. Mr. Richard, are you going to kill me? You probably don't know that I have a recording of our conversation that year. I have the recording of me lying about how I can give all I have. You were too naive that year. How did you find the many tricks like that? And you were at the place where you saw all that, your naivety gave it away. I did make those tricks, but I did it not for love but for the fame. Richard was obviously threatened by me, and Evelyn was obviously his weakness. This man was more infatuated than I was back then, but these past few years had taught me that the more tolerant you were, the more the other party would take advantage of you. Richard was so agitated by my teasing that he couldn't say a word. Before leaving, perhaps because he felt defeated, he couldn't help but turn around and say, "Evelyn and I are getting married at the beginning of next month." "I know." I waved goodbye to him. When she was with me, she was still pure. I taught her very well. Skillful at looking after others too. "I wish you a happy wedding night." I slammed the door shut, feeling truly refreshed. What is this thing? Back then, when Richard looked for me and humiliated me, this matter had actually passed in my heart. But he accidentally kicked the photo frame of my mom, causing it to shatter. This grudge had now been avenged. After signing the contract with Luotian, I suddenly became busy. If my manager hadn't reminded me, I would have almost forgotten Evelyn's wedding. On the wedding day, I arrived as promised, but unexpectedly became the main character. The wedding invitation had to be opened on that day. The name of the bride on the entrance card was Evelyn, but the name of the groom was Finn. All the guests were extremely shocked. Richard was so enraged that he knelt down and begged Evelyn, but it was no use. This matter quickly became trending, occupying the top 5 spots. Finn faked death, domineering female president loves me becomes reality. Evelyn, wearing a wedding dress, went on stage and, facing all the reporters, recounted the events of that year. She said everything was her fault. She didn't tell me her identity. In reality, it was because there was a disturbance in her family, and she wanted to protect me. She said she had never promised anything to Richard and the Davenport family. The wedding was arranged by her from start to finish. She only said that she was going to get married, but never said who the groom was. She also said that she understood Richard's personality, knowing that he had hired people to smear me. Once I came forward, I would be slandered my whole life. By that time, even if I were to explain, the wounds couldn't be erased, so she wanted to nip this conspiracy in the bud. Finally, Evelyn dragged her wedding dress to in front of me, who was standing there in a daze. She knelt down on one knee, held up a ring, and proposed to me. Of course, I refused. After refusing Evelyn's proposal, I became famous in an instant. I became a role model for men. So it turned out that you could still pick up a beautiful wife on the roadside. The family's ancestors must have accumulated a lot of blessings. 1,000 gold young lady actually knelt down to propose. If this wasn't true love, then what was it? With her identity and status, how many men knelt down to beg for her love, and she still chose the scoundrel who deceived her? The scoundrel's heart must be moved for the real care of his soul. If I were Evelyn, I would just marry him. Finn, don't be foolish. I scolded myself. I didn't have time to pay attention to Evelyn. I seized the opportunity of unprecedented fame to release my new album. I had spent 3 years perfecting this album, and the response was very good. I was at the top of the music platform charts. My career developed rapidly. In 1 year, I won awards everywhere. I had many fans, and the most fanatical one was Evelyn. After her proposal failed, she began to pursue me. Evelyn's pursuit was also sensational. When I went to receive an award, she used more than a dozen luxury cars to lead the way for me. No matter where I went to participate in activities, she would appear right on time. As long as it was a product I endorsed, she would spend money to buy it all, then draw out the product to give to my fans, giving away for free. For my birthday, she bought all the LED screens on buildings in New York to celebrate my birthday. I had already made it clear, but Evelyn still did it. I didn't respond anymore. I worked hard to develop my career. I didn't dare to stop for even a minute or second, afraid that stopping would prevent me from being able to advance any further. I was someone who started from a starting line further back, so I had to run faster than others. Tonight, I was walking out of the events hotel when a truck was rushing towards me, headed straight for me. I couldn't avoid it. In the next second, a slender, familiar figure appeared behind me. She hugged me, rushed forward. I fell to the ground with Evelyn. It was just that she fell backward. I was hugged and protected by her and wasn't hit by anything. The surroundings were in chaos. After the checkup at the hospital, I wasn't injured. Evelyn had a bone contusion and needed to rest in bed. The perpetrator had been caught and was someone sent by a rival company. Evelyn had to stay in the hospital for a few days. My manager, Tanya, suggested that I visit Evelyn. I didn't answer, lowered my head, and looked at the key in my hand. This key was what Evelyn threw out from her pocket when she rushed over to save me. It was also the key to my old house in Southwest after my mom passed away. I didn't have money to buy a grave, so after faking my death and leaving, I was in a hurry, so I forgot to bring the key. Why would Evelyn have this key? I bought a plane ticket and immediately flew to Southwest. I arrived in front of the old house, unlocked the door. I was met with "Welcome home." It's not dust, it's the fresh air in the house that's been cleaned thoroughly. Mom's photo was hung neatly on the rosewood table, surrounded by gifts, all of which were new. I stepped forward and knelt on the futon. Next to the incense burner were many letters. I picked one up. The date written was 5 years ago, when Evelyn had just recovered her sight but was hiding it from me. My dearest Finn, when you receive this letter, I'll have left our home, but only temporarily. Don't worry. We've already kowtowed to heaven and earth before Mom's spirit tablet. We've also consummated our relationship. You are the only man and husband in Evelyn's life, and this will never change. First, I want to seriously reintroduce myself to my husband. My surname is Sterling, my name is Evelyn. I'm the heiress of the wealthiest family in the city, the heir to the Sterling Group. I deceived you when we met because I was forced to, Finn. You must read the entire letter, give your wife a chance to explain. The year you met me in the alley, actually, before I left the old house back in the countryside, Mrs. Johnson, the neighbor, called me. Are you Finn? She said. Mrs. Johnson, long time no see. How's your health? Very good. Why are you traveling alone? Didn't you bring your wife? Are you two having kids yet? A boy or a girl? I, the wife? I'm not married. No. You're lying to this old woman. Your wife visits your mother's grave every year, no less than 3 times a year. Every major and minor holiday, she always brings a lot of stuff and shares it with us neighbors. We said we must have taken care of you when you were little. I was stunned. Evelyn visited my mother's grave every year? Finn, your wife isn't bad at all. She's very beautiful and looks like a rich young lady, but she doesn't look down on your dirty home and can live in it. Last year, I saw her here during the New Year. I even brought her roasted sweet potatoes. As a result, I heard her crying alone in the room, still calling your name, saying she missed you so much. She asked when you would be back. The year before last, an old man in the village told her you had died. She angrily kicked her high heels at the old fence at the entrance of the village, saying you definitely wouldn't die, saying she didn't believe it, saying she would wait until you came back. That girl is so foolish but has a lot of money. After reading it, I took all the letters and flew back to NYC that night. When I arrived at the hospital room in the wind and rain, Evelyn was drinking porridge. She obviously didn't think I would take the initiative to find her. When she saw me appear, she hurriedly sat up from the hospital bed, knocking over the bowl of porridge, spilling it all over herself. Without bothering to wipe it off, she stepped towards me. Her large, beautiful eyes stared at me intently. Her slender legs inadvertently bumped into the chair. Her secretary quietly said, "Miss, take it easy. Mr. Finn came on his own, he definitely won't run away." I looked at her arm in a cast and immediately scolded, "Your arm hasn't healed yet. Don't move around recklessly." I helped her sit down. She looked at me from a close distance, her eyes shining with joy. The secretary was about to say something but was gently kicked by her and sheepishly retreated. "Why are your hands so cold?" Evelyn said softly. "I asked someone to bring hot soup. You haven't been in the hospital room these past 2 days. Where have you been?" This was a way of indirectly asking where I had gone. This Evelyn was still so domineering. I laughed. "Anyway, you've got people following me everywhere, why are you still asking me?" Evelyn pouted her red lips, not saying anything, acting like a spoiled puppy. I just went back to my hometown in Southwest. I took out the letters. I only read a few lines of the letters, the rest, I want to hear you say yourself. I asked, you answer. She replied crisply, ask what you want, I'll say anything, including my bank card password. I have over 100 cards, the passwords are all your birthday. From Evelyn's reply, I finally found out the whole truth. The year I picked up Evelyn in the alley, she had just been in a serious car accident. The culprit was her father's illegitimate child, her brother. Her brother bought poison from abroad to kill her. A week before I took Evelyn home, she had actually lost her memory. Her mind was sometimes clear, sometimes muddled. So, when I asked about her parents and relatives, she couldn't say anything. After resting at my house for half a month, Evelyn completely regained her composure, but she didn't immediately reveal her identity. She didn't want me to be implicated. At that time, the Sterling Group was vying for inheritance rights. I often heard rumors in the alley, too. When the grandfather passed away, the inheritance rights were given to his most beloved eldest daughter. The other illegitimate children were dissatisfied, thinking that women shouldn't inherit and were obstructing it in all sorts of ways. Father Sterling publicly moved to the ancestral home. Mother Sterling was placed under house arrest. Evelyn was harmed and went missing. She was afraid that her illegitimate brothers would retaliate and implicate me. She bided her time, silently enduring, waiting for an opportunity to take revenge. During these 5 years, I have wanted to tell you the truth so many times, but I'm afraid you'd be just like me, worrying and uneasy. I'm also afraid that you'd think my identity is too dangerous and wouldn't want me anymore. Actually, from the 2nd year, my trusted assistant had found me, but I told him to secretly protect us without alarming others. If my brothers find me, the consequences are hard to say. I pursed my lips and thought for a moment, unable to resist asking her, so what about you hugging Richard outside my house? Evelyn frowned and then completely understood. So that's why you misunderstood. That day, one of my brothers came to me, and Richard performed a play. At that time, I could temporarily see for a while, about 20 minutes. I couldn't see anything anymore after that. The Davenport family and my mother had vested interests. Richard's father really wanted me to win, and Richard was only responsible for relaying messages. I suddenly remembered when she hugged Richard and looked around. It turned out that she wasn't afraid that I would suddenly appear, she was suddenly temporarily able to see. Moreover, with enemies hiding in the shadows, she was on edge, observing. At that time, the group needed me to come forward to preside over a meeting to turn this situation around, so I left in a hurry and didn't dare to turn back to find you. I had already written these letters, intending to send them to you as soon as I returned to the group, so you would know the whole truth. I told Richard to give you some money, to act like you didn't need me anymore, and to tell you to scram. That way, you wouldn't be targeted by my brothers. They would regard you as an unimportant pawn and would be discarded. I just didn't expect Richard to secretly give you the money and even Photoshop our pictures on the bed. I also didn't expect you to take the money and really leave. Before you left, you even said you found a sugar mama that you admired. Do you know how long I was angry for? Every time I was angry, I would eventually think hopefully that the sugar mama that you admired was not as rich as me. I was just waiting for you to turn around and come back to my side. Evelyn's beautiful eyes looked at me intently, her voice carrying a hint of resentment and self-blame. I'm not saying these things to shift all the blame to Richard, Finn. I know it was me, I was wrong. I should have explained it to you sooner. I've understood that love is about facing everything together, not presuming that you're doing better for the other person. Finn, I'm sorry, can you give me one more chance? I didn't answer Evelyn's last question. After the misunderstanding of that year was resolved, I saw that we both had our faults. I was wrong for being too timid and not having the courage to ask clearly. She was wrong for being too conceited and not understanding the meaning of love. Love should be about sharing together, no matter how big or small the matter is. This 5-year separation can't be blamed on anyone, it's just that we didn't know how to love. A month after Evelyn was discharged from the hospital, I also announced on Weibo that I had a girl I liked and was waiting for an opportunity to confess my love to her. Evelyn didn't ask me who it was and only sent me a message: "If she doesn't treat you well, tell me, and I'll find someone to teach her a lesson." Well, this young lady is very individualistic. I was about to call her back. Do you believe the announcement I made about the matter in the countryside the year you created in the wedding that year? It completely ruined Richard's reputation. Last month, he moved abroad. I know the Sterling family and the Davenport family have cut off all relations, and won't do any business with each other anymore. As for Richard, if you want him to pay even more. I laughed. He has woken up already. Yesterday, he even sent a message apologizing, saying he has married a wife abroad. His wife gave birth to twin sons. He asked when I would accept you. What did you reply? I've already posted it on Weibo. I have a girl that I like now. And you didn't say you would marry her. She could be just a hookup for you. What has she even got? She not at all cute or beautiful, and her attitude needs to be brought down 10 notches. And what about you recently? Did you meet anyone new? I've been very busy lately. Evelyn changed the subject. You're at the film set, right? Did you eat breakfast? Surely Tanya has prepared it for you already. I asked back, you prepared it, didn't you? She was silent. I imagined her expression as she does that puppy dog eyes new. I imagine you did, and that makes it more lovely. I didn't allow her to prepare these things, and she always obediently apologized, but would still want to prepare it when I turned away. When I asked her, she would pretend to be wronged. How could there be a woman who was so good at being spoiled? And also very good at taking care of others? That's right, Evelyn, a few days ago, your mom found me. What did she say? Don't worry, I'll find her. She knows everything. I guess you're not surprised that I have been given this treatment and no one will stop me. She said you're not young anymore and should get married. She wanted to tell me to have children early, it wouldn't be good for your health. She asked what my intentions were. So then? I have told her the person who will hopefully one day be my wife. Did I have to say it over and over till you got it? So I'll tell you, let me make you my wife then. I would so appreciate it. Is there a time? There is never a better time than now. So that's it. We getting married? I'd better bring my family and get it started. There should be no trouble, and I know someone has been paying attention. There's no problem there. And will the wedding take a turn or go smoothly? I imagine that would be a surprise, or more of the same. Thank you for the support and time for me. A few days later, I and Evelyn got married. With her support, I can see, her side is there for anything she wants.